Hey, Dave. Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Dave.
There we
There
go.
we go.
Can you hear
Good
us now?
morning, Dave. I can hear you, brother. How you doing?
All righty. Good morning.
Good morning, brother. How are you?
Good. So this is I'm Dave. This is Ray.
How you doing?
Hey, Ray.
Ray's our
Ray,
public
you
relations. Do I gotta move
okay?
this a little bit? There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
That's
Perfect.
a little better.
Okay. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
get
We
comfortable.
turn. There we go.
Yeah, me
All
and Ray
right.
are like we're. I'm sure that you obviously you do this quite a bit. We're pretty savvy when it comes to these podcasts and stuff. So
Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. So if I make a mistake, you'll catch me on it.
no, you'll catch up.
Ray is your PR guy? Is that your
Yes.
name, Ray?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm terrible with names. It's like I remember faces, but people tell me their name, and it's like 2 seconds later, it's gone. And I have to
Roger
go
that.
back and yeah, yeah. So great. What we'll talk about, we are live now. Welcome to Saturday Morning Live with Sal Santori. And we are coming to you live from Studio A right here at WMRC Studios. And our special guest today is Dave Ragan from Veterans Promise, along with his public relations guy, Ray. And we want to welcome them to the show. Dave and Ray, welcome. Thanks for coming on the air.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, good morning. We're very honored to be here and to spread our message and learn how we can all help each other and improve in the quality of life for our veterans
Exactly.
families.
Exactly. That's what we're all about. And the beauty of it is we constantly meet new folks who are doing the same thing. And it's like the whole thing just keeps getting bigger and stronger.
Roger that.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
It is exciting, and when people take the stance that there's a big enough pie for all of us helpers, there's no
Isn't
reason
there though? Yeah.
there's no reason to compete. The pie is big enough. Enough of a need,
Right?
you
The
know.
need is much bigger than we'll ever be, right?
Exactly.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
when we wore the uniform, we had ego as a part of that uniform, whether you admit it or not. There's no egos.
Definitely.
There's no egos in this realm of helping, and that's
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Without ego, we wouldn't have been able to do what we did, though.
well true because
Yeah.
you know all of us want to go home. All of us want to,
Right. Right.
no matter what your uh, experience in the surface is, there's always a degree of. Am I done with this yet? Did I really screw up? Like
Can I go home
I
now?
really made a bad decision by doing this, putting myself through this. But
Yeah.
but obviously we know
Yeah.
on the end those sacrifices are well worth the time that we take.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Um, so tell us a little bit about Veterans Promise. I believe I read that you began in 2016. Is
Yes.
that okay?
So a quick little bio of me. I was a correction officer with Ray. He was my lieutenant in the jail. Um, and around 2014, 2013, um, after my service, I really had a downfall in life. I was struggling with inner demons of depression and suicidal thoughts, and I got to the point that I was suicidal and I needed a lot of help. I almost died multiple times because of suicide attempts, and this fundamental shift in my life of going to work in the prison and everything was taken away from me. It was really a really bad hard time in my life. And in my service, I was an infantryman with an office job. I worked in our battalion headquarters S3 section, so I was trained to be an infantryman, but I worked in the operations center, and I always kind of had like this feeling that I didn't do enough in my service. So there was a lot of guilt and a lot of stuff like that I dealt with.
Right.
So um, I say that because I didn't just wake up one day and say I want to help veterans, and Veterans Promise is going to be my thing, and this is my life mission. So um, I have a personal connection to our mission, and so does Ray. Um, after I got some extensive help in a PTSD treatment center in a Coatesville, VA, which was a wonderful program. And there is help out there, and that's partly what we're here to do, is talk about how we can get guys help. Um, I laid my guts on the table, and I walked out of there with some tools and some wellness. November 2016, I got the opportunity to start something, and I got the opportunity to start sharing my story and kind of realizing that some of the things that I went through can help other people. And we don't want to lose any more of our people. So I have a duty. I have a responsibility to my brothers and sisters. And so I kind of took that cross up, and we built a wonderful team. And I kept seeing Ray at our fallen veterans and fallen officers funerals. And I finally said to him, brother, I need your help.
Come on down.
I need
to
your
talk
help.
to you.
And so here's a guy that, I worked with. He was my boss. I had great respect for him when I worked in the SCI Waymart, and now he's here. He's been our vice president, and now he's doing public relations stuff. And, since November 2016, we acquired a building, and then, we put up our wall of heroes, which is for our memorial for those that are lost here on the home front. It's the only memorial that I know of that is like that.
That's a grant program.
We've established a hardship grant program, which in the beginning, the budget for that was like maybe $10,000 if we were lucky. Last year, we gave out $66,000 to veterans and their families for small hardship grants, for food and rent and, car repairs and any other things. A lot of funeral expenses, unfortunately. Then we established our Major Hugs program, which is a teddy bear program for the orphans of the losses that are left behind from our wall of heroes, and many other stuff that we're senior veterans things we're doing once a month, a lunch with the veterans in that area.
We have a Wall of Warriors downstairs.
Wall of Warriors, right?
That's come up.
So there's many different programs, and I love how you sent me like the script of the podcast today, right? We're so off script all the time, but which I think is great. Like, you want that organic reaction,
Right. Yeah, you have to have it. The only show I've ever scripted was the very first show I did back in November of 2014. And I had never done a show before recorded, and this was only radio, so I could even get away with my nice ugly radio face at that time. But yeah, what I'd done is we did a fundraiser for Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors and had a chili cook-off here in local area, and I was working for a radio station at the time, and the engineer came out and did a live broadcast while we had this chili cook-off, and he kept inviting me over to the CP for the civilians out there. That's the control point. Center of gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was asking me, give us an update, how's everything going, Sal? And I thought, wow, there are so few people here, because what I was unaware of when I booked this event was it was the same weekend as the hometown event, their annual event.
Yeah.
So people were going there, and I'm thinking, good Lord, I can't lie to people and say, gee, there's 100,000 people here and we're doing fantastic, you know? So, so I thought, okay, what am I going to do here? And I decided, well, we're going to tell the truth, and the folks that are here are having fun. You know, we had a bouncy thing set up for the kids, and we had, face painting, and just it was a beautiful event. It really was. Um, so I'd come up and I'd say, exactly that. Well, hey, thanks, Roger, for having me up, and the folks that are out here, they're having a great time. We're all having a good time, and we've got kids in the bouncy tent, and there's some folks over there doing some face painting and sampling some food, and then I would just bring up, we're getting close to the judging for the chili cook-off, and we just need a few more people from the community to stop by and participate. Well, that was absolutely true, 100%,
Right.
and we actually did draw some more folks out through that. And afterwards, the engineer Roger said to me, "Did you ever consider doing your own show?" And I said, "Well, that would be right along up there with me thinking I'm going to go visit the Pope. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Just And he said, "Well, you know what?" He said, "You
Great.
really sounded pretty good, and the fact that you were honest will carry. People will appreciate that fact."
Well,
He said, "Why don't you take some time and put a half-hour show together?" So I'm thinking, yeah, okay, all right. Well, why not? Why not? So I did. I sat and I wrote out this script for a half-hour show. We went in and recorded on a Friday night, and our half-hour recording took like 3 hours to edit. It was that.
okay.
Right.
That's
Right.
all right.
So yeah.
You
So
want
it aired. Go ahead, Dave. Ray, I'm sorry.
to
What?
get it right when you do it.
Right, exactly. Excuse me. And here's the really funny part. It aired the next Saturday morning at 9, and I'm listening to this to myself on the air, and I'm thinking, "Will this guy just shut up so they can play music?" It was bad.
Uh-huh.
It was it was that bad, But
Uh,
the point I'm making, it was canned. It was read. It was a script. And
yeah.
I realized right then and there that that was not the way to go. So the only thing I've done since is I'll put together an outline, kind of a flow. It's called a one sheet, you know, and that gives us some kind of area to work with. And then it's just I listen to what my guests are saying. I'll ask the questions, and I'm listening very intently, and as I'm listening, it'll lead me to the next question or the next segment, and we go from there. And that way, we bring out the truest of information in the best form, I believe. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Let
yeah,
content lead you away.
Right. I think people that are listening, when you have that genuine honesty, they just buy in. They just buy in. You're believable. You're not
right, right,
and I think a lot of that for us here, that's how we've had the success that we've had, because we've made this thing, Veterans Promise, a ball of clay. So it's not like we set out and said, this is what we're doing and this is how we're going to do it. We've really had to have a wide longitude and latitude of trying to create this thing, not legislate ourselves into, well, we don't do this, we don't do that. And, again, that has helped us with our Wall of Heroes, Wall of Warriors. That has helped us with, the Hardship Grant Program. I mean, we still, 6-7 years into that program, still have conversations about how, we're going to be even tightening up our shot group that much better on how we're looking at, processing grants and that type of thing. So,
Being flexible.
the flexibility of things and having a common sense type of look at things really has helped us. And the one thing that I have to say, our board of directors, I mean, all of our advocates here are fantastic people and they do wonderful things in the community. Our board of directors really puts in a lot of time. For every one of those grants that's submitted, there's a full board vote on each and every one of them. And sometimes they're pumping out 3 or 4, 5, 6 grants a day, to where veterans are calling in and needing some things, and they're able to vote. And a lot of these folks have full-time jobs, and it's all done with a full transparency, and everyone's involved. So like, it really is a remarkable thing that we built, and what a model of how to do business like that. So I really think that makes us unique.
One of the things with that grant program is when we get a request, it's not the amount of time is usually within the hour that person knows that they've got funds coming. And
well, within a couple hours.
But relatively quickly, not a we'll get back to you in a couple of days type of thing.
Right.
No.
I mean, it could take a couple of days. It really all depends. Like there's some the VA, and again, our relationship with the VA is great. We have some very good contacts and some wonderful people that help us and that type of thing. And there's challenges in the VA. I mean, I think that's a fair statement. That
everywhere, sure.
Right. But when it's Friday at 4:00 in the afternoon and everyone's gone home, we might have a couple that are hung over till Monday. I mean, we do the best we can with what we have. We don't have paid staff here, so how we really have gotten by is we're very good at being able to assess what is a crisis, which means literally we have to stop everything we're doing and run out the door and go help somebody, or something that is maybe critical, but it's not necessarily critical to where our personal lives have to stop, and we can get back in here and do Monday through Friday, normal business type stuff. So
let me interrupt you just for a second, Dave, because you said something that is so huge. You said run out the door to help someone.
Yes.
Our listeners, our veterans and families who've been through crisis can understand the gravity of that. But folks that have not, I really want them to understand what that really means. Tell us about, okay, you get a phone call. All right. I don't know what I'm going to do. The landlord's coming over. I'm 3 months behind on my rent. We're basically out of food. I can't even put gas in my car. I'm like to my wit's end. Okay. My wife is going to leave me because she feels that I'm not doing what in our marriage, what a man would do, the husband would do. Take it from there, Dave.
Well, that's a call that we probably get once a week.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. I mean beautiful illustration. I don't mean beautiful for the brothers and sisters.
So let's take it from the top. It really starts with that initial conversation, because you're developing trust. We as veterans don't want to trust nobody.
Right. You can't. We couldn't. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Because we've failed so many times. So
that would have got us killed.
So you're developing trust within that first 5 minutes of dealing with that person. Now they're trying to see if we're going to help them. Okay, and that help could be many things. It could be the hardship grant. It could be for that conversation that if I'm the one taking the call, just am the punching bag for them, that they're able to air their grievances and yell at me and whatever. And then we get to a point where, this guy really does care because he didn't hang up on me and tell me to go screw myself. It could be that. It could be that we are really to the point that this is beyond just a conversation, that I literally have to do what we call a mission 22 in our advocates Facebook page, and let the whole organization know that we have a veteran that is in severe crisis right this minute. Clear the communication, If you are in the area of where this is and you're willing to participate, let me know. Start getting dressed, and I'm working on this, and wait for further instructions. Sometimes those further instructions are, go on that person's Facebook page and start finding their family, their loved ones, their friends, and start messaging those folks and say, you're so and so from Veterans Promise. You are worried about their loved one. Can you please check on, Johnny, we'll say. While I may be on the phone with law enforcement, starting a welfare check, or we may be on our way to set foot, boots on ground to that person's home, if they're within our area.
Let me stop you just for a second. Now, when you say about in contact with law enforcement regarding a possible welfare check, I want our listeners and viewers to understand that that does not result or does not, uh, how would you say, it does not originate any type of criminal action.
100%.
Right.
So this,
Okay.
so
Right.
this interaction with law enforcement, that's a great point. It really needs to be, that really needs to be expressed. Our experience, we've had a lot of experience. The law enforcement's attitude towards veterans. When I grew up, I watched Rambo. Right? How did
Right.
think about what that was? It was such an extreme thing. They didn't want this drifter in their hometown, so they messed with him and poked and prodded him until he went nuts. Well, that's not the case. That's not the environment that we're in this world anymore. So the law enforcement that we have dealt with in these cases here, these are veterans that have, and I want to be very clear on this. These are people we don't just call 911 because we feel some kind of way about what the conversation is. 911 is called when there are specific things that are said. I want to hurt myself. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't have any value. I'm going to hurt somebody else. I'm going to, there
I'm
is
gonna lock. I'm gonna lock and load.
I'm going to lock and load. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very specific category of stuff. And we could talk through anything. I'll stay on the phone with you for hours. But once you get to that certain level of things, it is really beyond what I can do as far as a peer. Okay, because that's what we are. We're not clinical services here. So we're
Right. Right.
So, in our community, when we make that phone call, they know who we are. So they know that when Veterans Promise is calling a particular department and saying, "Hey, look, we have a veteran in their area and they are in crisis," legitimacy is already established because they know what we do.
Right.
So
Right.
now it becomes, and again, this goes deep. So our experience with law enforcement has been so great that we're actually doing blocks of instruction with cadets at the police academy at the Lackawanna College. So
Fantastic.
right. So we're getting law enforcement officers that are graduating and really explaining the importance of, why when you communicate with one of us, it's a little different. We
Right.
are very crazy minded people in a sense that because of how we're trained. And when I say that, things that would scare other people do not scare veterans. We're
Right.
not afraid. We're not afraid of the 7 officers that might be stacked, seven outside our door.
Want to come in.
Let's
Yeah.
let's play. Let's
Right.
play. Yeah.
Right. So
See what you got.
the whole idea is let's get to a point that we can have a conversation. Part of that conversation in the beginning very well might be, the posturing. Who's got more juice than the other? Okay, that's what we do in a sense. once you get through that, now you establish the trust. Okay, so now we can have a conversation where we're gonna be able to de-escalate. No one's going to jail. We're here to help. We're here to make sure you're okay. We're here to get you some treatment. We're here to provide your family with some resources. And a lot of times, not in all cases, sometimes, unfortunately, some people, didn't do what they were supposed to do, and may have gotten jammed up. But at the end of the day, I would rather you jammed up and alive than hold up in your house by yourself, hurt yourself, destroy your family. The questions that your family will be asking for forever will never be answered, and the whole community is destroyed because of this loss. So, if you're at home and you're listening to this, you can't be afraid to make that telephone call if there is a veteran that needs help. If you think somebody is really going to hurt themselves and they're making comments and they're, really just saying, look, that, they don't want to be here anymore, you have to be very direct. Are you thinking of hurting yourself? Are you going to hurt yourself? Are you thinking of suicide? You can't talk
Right.
someone into suicide. People think that they can, or that it's a bad conversation.
Right.
It's the most loving conversation you could have with someone, in my opinion, if there is someone that's struggling. So, that's the type of stuff when calls come in. When I say boots on ground, we're running out the door, and it's happened. It's happened a lot. It's happened when it never happens on
Opportunity time.
at Monday at 9:00 in the morning. Okay, we're getting
Right.
referrals now by some of our law enforcement officers in our area, which is amazing. So we're actually out on a call. Now think about this: we're out with the department. They have their SWAT team, all this stuff, and here we are, just this veterans group, and now we're coming up to be like, in other words, hey, come on outside.
De-escalate that situation.
We're going to de-escalate.
Right.
Come on, get a hug,
You become the peacemaker.
Right, right, and that has happened. We also, because of social media, as social media gives you the ability to grow and to have conversations with people all over the country that you would never have. But it has also given us the ability to save lives all over the country. So when you see people maybe going through a hard time and they post something on Facebook, we have a very specific way that we're able to, do the same thing that we're doing here. Now, we may not be able to get our boots on the ground, but we're still able to work, Facebook and the community, in a sense, wherever they are.
Virtually.
Yes. And we have saved lives all over this country multiple times. So
You mentioned. Thanks, Dave. You mentioned not being able to talk someone into suicide, which is very key to family members not feeling survivor's guilt, survivor's remorse.
Right.
But what I wanted to bring out of this is, and you can attest to this if I'm correct, that veteran suicide is not a single thought event.
No,
there is a lot.
It's a lot of thought behind it, a lot of time behind it.
So again, I mean, I think the reason why we've had success here at Veterans Promise, we talked about being genuine, right? I'm 6 foot, 275 pounds, tattooed up. I walk in a room and do public speaking, and these people have no idea. They just know I'm the president of Veterans Promise. And I get up there and I share my story about how I've, battled depression, still battle suicidal thoughts. Like, none of that has changed in my life. The only difference is that I have tools and I have wonderful people. I have a bigger support system than I've ever had. So uh, that stuff doesn't go away. It's a continual battle. It's a continual thing that I have to keep fighting. Okay. But nobody could talk me into suicide. Those thoughts, they come, whether someone's talking to me about it or not. It's my choice. It's how I choose to process that. It's how I choose to, make a healthy decision. Hey, Ray, I'm not doing too good. You know what? Let's go and get a cup of coffee, or let's go talk with another veteran, because that's what helps me. So, in other words, instead of like focusing on what's internally in me, helping someone else kind of helps me de-escalate. Or I gotta go up my appointments at the Scranton Vet Center. Instead of going every once a month, maybe I need to start going like twice a month, or three times a month. And there's a lot that has time that has gone into being able to be that aware for me. Not everybody has that, but again, when you have a forum and you have a platform and you're trying to save lives, I feel I have a responsibility to share that. And the hardest things that we deal with here is when a family member calls and they're trying so hard to save their veteran, but the veteran is not ready. They don't want to take steps to get well, or to, maybe it's drug and alcohol, maybe it's
they're feeling done.
Yeah. So
not at that point yet that they want to accept and be open-minded to get the help that they really need.
So
we're hitting on a perfect spot. I was actually going to go into this next. Let's talk about the veteran who decides, this is it, man. This is it. I'm done. I am flipping done. Doesn't want to talk to anybody. And their mind's made up. What? And I'm bringing this up because sitting here listening, I got this wicked internal prompt to bring this up. So my thought and prayer is, if we have a veteran out there who's watching or listening right now and is at that point, this is for you.
Amen.
This is for you. How do we help here? What do we do?
Well, so again, I mean, I think if you're listening at home, I don't think anyone expects you to be, the Veterans Promise or any other, nonprofit that's dedicated to this. I think what it comes down to, it comes down to your observation of the person, right, and love for that person. So if there is somebody that you love and that intimately, and their habits are changing, and they are expressing those things, you can't, no matter what it is, you can't be afraid to pick the phone up and say, okay, this is beyond me. And maybe it starts, maybe it's not law enforcement just yet. I mean, again, if the line is a thin line. If someone's making a comment like that, but they're not necessarily having the means to do it, okay, maybe it's not law enforcement, but I would get on the phone and start calling the VA or the vet center or us, or and get some tools in your toolbox to reinforce.
Give us a number where you could be called right away, Dave. How would somebody contact you in the next 5 minutes, let's say?
570-892-2060. You call that, that rings right to my cell phone. That's our office number here. And, if someone needs something, that's how they can get us 24/7.
Sal, for a lot of people, if they're around somebody, a veteran that is contemplating, has thought about it, has these thoughts about suicide and that, the hardest question that for them being around that veteran is to ask him, do you think you're suicidal? Are you suicidal? Have you had thoughts about committing suicide? Nobody wants to, if it's my son or if it's my daughter or if it's my husband and that, my wife, nobody wants to ask that person those kind of questions. It's really difficult. But you need to.
I'm gonna tell a story if it's okay. I think it answers your question and gives a little insight to the degree of what we're talking here. So you said the guy that's basically made the statements. So we have clear lines that we cross the line that we now are beyond what I could do as a peer. Now I need to get reinforcements for us here, which means law enforcement, hospitalization, and that type of thing. I had a very good friend of mine who I was in the Coatesville VA with, and he was my roommate, and he was a stubborn Marine. And we and him just clicked. Like, we processed everything together, and you have a lot of bad days when you're going through treatment because you're being honest. Mm-hmm. So when you're really processing stuff, it doesn't feel good. So we just developed this great friendship, and I left, he left, he went his way, I went my way. We stayed in contact. Well, he lived out near Coatesville somewhere. I only been to his house one time. And I remember I was still working at the time, part-time, and he called me. And he said, look it, I'm done. I love you. The gun is loaded. And, tell my kids. The tell my kids line is always the hardest thing to hear, right? So I'm working. So I'm literally running out the door to try to now save my friend somehow, right? So at first, my thought process is and this is before Veterans Promise, I have to keep him on the phone as long as I can. Okay? So the longer I have him on the phone, even if he's arguing with me, is less time for him to, pull the trigger or to do something that is critical, right? So what am I doing? I'm stalling, right? I'm and part of my language, Marines, they're not, you're a Marine and you're this and that, and
right.
get the crayons out of your mouth, just, and again, more graphic than that, but
right,
doing things to dig him like he would dig me, so that the rebuttal that he's going to give me takes time, right? Meanwhile, as I'm on the telephone, I'm texting. I had a resource in the VA. She was the Justice Outreach Coordinator. Her name is Kim Sopolis up in the Wilkes-Barre VA. As far as I'm concerned, there's higher beings up in this world. Jesus made this position for Kim because she really is just an amazing human being. So I literally called Kim, like I'm texting Kim. I never been to this guy's house. I said, I need your help immediately. I don't have his address. I only have his telephone number. Here's the veteran's name, his address. He's around this age. He lives in this area. We have to get law enforcement out there. He's going to hurt himself. And he would have. He absolutely would have. So as this is going on, as I'm trying to text and I'm, getting yelled at and arguing with him, of course, the people I'm working for are like, what are you doing? Because I'm not doing my job. Right. And I'm like, look, I'm in the middle of like something more important in this place, but as Joe would hang up with me, he would hang up on me and then I'd call him back. And every time that happened, your heart sinks because it's like,
it might not answer.
Right. So this is going on and time is going on and time is so critical. So I literally finally get through and he's on the phone with me, yelling at me and whatever. And then I could hear the pounding on the door. Well, what happened was they kicked the door in, and there was commotion, there was yelling and whatnot, and whatever happened on scene, Joe was saved. And the reason why I feel that expressing this story is important is because it's not conventional. It's nothing that I said to him that took that
Right.
weapon away from him, right?
Right. Right.
It wasn't like we talked him off the ledge, okay? And he had some consequences for his actions. I think he was tased. Again, law enforcement has to be safe. You can't expect them to go in somebody's home when there's weapons and people not doing what they asked them to do. I mean, it's a tough deal. So here I am for months now. Joe's not taking my calls, right? And I'm heartbroken because I love this man. So I'm like really sad, but I'm glad because my friend's alive, right?
Right. Right. Mission accomplished.
So maybe 5 months, 6 months after this, I get a call from a different number. He's got a new cell phone. I just wanted to tell you, brother, thank you. I love you. Thank you for doing what you did. I was not in my right mind, and and I'm thinking like I lost a friend. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So, if you're listening, it is a sacrifice. Sometimes, sometimes it's gonna maybe cost you friendship, but I would much rather something cost me friendship than cost me life. And that's really how you have to look at things. And I will say this, in that circumstance of things has happened here multiple times. And I would say 99.9% of when it has happened, especially the people that we may have had, I may have had friendships with or served with or, known in the community or whatever. When they get to that point, and it takes time, maybe it's a year, but the most satisfying and loving call is that call of, hey, thank you for giving enough of a crap about me to do this, because other people were afraid. Other people were afraid to make that choice. You didn't. You drew the line in the sand and said, this is what this has to be, and we can't have you saying and doing things to where you're going to hurt yourself. And it's been, again, it's exhausting. It's hard work. It's especially when you're dealing with your own stuff. I remember one day, just another one, just crazy. I was home. It was a Saturday. And like I said, our office phones ring to my cell phone, right? So in the midst of all this, I have to have, I have kids, I have a wife, I have a pool in the summertime I have to maintain. I have grass to cut. Like,
Are you telling me the Army issued you all these things?
Right.
Standard issue.
Right.
Right.
So the phone rings and it's a missed call, and we get a lot of spam calls and whatnot. So, it's tough. You're going to call everyone back. Well, I called back. Something said to me, don't wait till Monday.
Right.
Because there was no message. There was no message. I literally said, I got to call back. I called it back. Well, here it was. Here was somebody that was locally in having a situation. And, the conversation went from, and I love this, okay, where'd you serve? What'd you do? Right. So I get into, I was an infantry guy with an office job. I was a sergeant, And this guy he literally, you pogue, you never left the base, you poser, you stolen valor, piece of crap, right? and
Rear echelon individual.
you went right. I mean, just
Yeah.
abused me, right? And I took it, right? And then it turned. Like, in other words, once I was able to kind of establish, like, look, that stuff hurts. It does. And we could have another conversation, but we're not ready to have that other conversation about my, time. But right now you need someone to attack. So I have to be willing to be that sounding board for you. And when we got to the turning point after an hour or so, I said, look, man, I just did what I was told to do and went where they told me to go. I'm not a super soldier by any means, and that, but I'm proud of my service now. I wasn't for a long time, and we all have a spoke on the wheel. And he said to me, he said, I'm sorry, but the most important piece of it was we got to the place where he berated me, got out what he needed to get out, and then it was, oh, you guys really are here to help. And the conversation was just so like brotherly from that point forward. And what it was is he lost some friends around this particular time and was having a hard time with the anniversary, which is very common. So for that day, I was his frustration, his target. And I remember specifically my wife, because I'm upstairs in my bedroom. My wife comes upstairs and she's looking at me as I'm getting yelled at over the phone. Kind of like, what did you do? And again, it's a training part. Like, if you didn't serve, sometimes it's hard to understand,
Right.
So it's an educational piece. So when you're home listening to this, it's not all going to be cookie cutter. You can't walk in the water and not get wet. We're talking about saving lives. There's not this is an all doors open, every idea counts, and whatever it takes mission. It's not a this is how we have to do it between the left and right limit. And
there's no script, no book you can go to and open up and say, okay, at this point, this is what I have to do.
Right. There's no YouTube lesson on it.
Roger that.
And
yeah.
And if I can, I want to take it a step further because I think this is also very crucial.
I want to make one point really quick, and that is, Dave. What I'm hearing is that your mission in the Army, your MOS was to get you ready for where you are now.
10-4.
My operations sergeant, who was someone that I love very much, Master Sergeant Bob Pry, he comes and visits me, and he walked in my office and said, boy, if this isn't an operations room, I don't know what it is. And that was the biggest compliment because I learned everything organizational-wise from those experiences. So that was a big deal
and
for me.
I'll just assume the check's in the mail, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah. It's not big though. I want to just hit on one other thing that's so crucial about this because we're talking about saving lives, but unfortunately, we don't save all of them, and that hurts. And at times, to be fair, there's been times where the losses that we've incurred have been people close to us, people I serve with. It makes you question whether you're doing enough at times. But also you come to the realization that, like I said before, there's something a higher, there's a Lord and Savior up there, and things happen that are beyond our control. And when they do happen, what we have to do is we have to support those that are left behind. And that is very, very crucial to who we are as an organization, because
That's a challenge
the,
within itself.
the losses become family. They become a part of who you are, and part of Veterans Promise. And um, those family members that have experienced that, yeah, a lot of times when I speak and we do some of the stuff that we do here, they're looking at, here's somebody that went through what my veteran went through, maybe a piece of that puzzle that was missing on their end, something we're saying and telling them can be filled in, and it helps bring a clearer vision of why or what. And really, you never get those answers.
Mm.
You're never really you're searching for something you're never going to get. And I think sometimes, one of the moms that lost somebody here, said sometimes you have to put a period where the question mark is, and look at it like we have to thank God that such men or women that serve our country have lived. Um, but it is really, really a hard thing when we're uh, losing our people. And we do a fantastic job. Part of our gig is, again, we go to a lot of funerals. I mean, we are there for these families when they're grieving, and the children.
We've held funerals here at our building because the families that left behind, they don't have the finances. They can't afford it. Um,
Yeah, we had. Imagine a Vietnam veteran not being able to be laid to rest. You think that's going to happen on my watch?
uh,
I'll tell you what. I join you. Um, I had a sister of a veteran contact me, and there was nobody to take charge to help to put her brother to rest, and she had no idea what to do. And yeah, I we helped guide her through that process and walk her to the right people to make it as comfortable and
yeah,
honorable as possible. So yeah, that's it's a real situation, and it's terrible, horrible.
yeah.
Again, we touched on some of the programming we have here, and really, again, if you're listening at home, what Veterans Promise is a gap filler. If there is a need of something, and you have questions, or you don't know where to get Veterans Affairs benefits, or funeral arrangement stuff, um, any odds and ends type of things, call us. That's what we do. We're here to answer that phone. You're never going to just get, we don't do that, and hang up the phone. That's not who we are. You know, the Veterans Affairs offices have county facilities. They have veteran service officers. It's their job to help you get those benefits and answer those questions. A lot of folks don't even know that those folks exist. So
Right.
we're providing referrals. Um, the vet centers, again, are another asset that a lot of veterans don't even know that they are out there, and they're such a great resource. And it's not medicine that they're trying to shove down your throat. It's therapy, it's groups, it's away from the hospital setting. In a sense, it's more of a therapeutic setting, in my opinion. And again, like, those things are the small little victories that I feel we can help facilitate, that can help prevent someone from getting to that point where they're in crisis. So
I
that,
want to come back.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. Okay. I just want to come back to something that you said in the very beginning, which is like so beautiful. The pie is huge and the need is huge, bigger than we'll ever be. So there's not even a spirit of competition. It's all about help. And if 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 someone chooses to reach out to me and I can help them through you, then
Yes,
that's what, and vice versa. And that's really what this is all about. Um,
absolutely.
so I want to put out our contact information and yours again, Dave, and also put out the 988 number is the Veterans Crisis number. It's
Right.
the 988, and then press option 1, and you get live person instead of a phone bank. And if you
100%.
want to, yeah, yeah, it's really a big thing that the VA has done, Department of Veteran Affairs. And if you can if you reach out to me, you can call me, and my phone number is 717-743-8769. Again, 717-743-8769. Or you can write me here at the studio, Sal at wmrcstudios.com. And again, you can always find help at helpk@outlook.com. And Dave, tell us how we can reach out to you again as well, please.
So again, our office number is 570-892-2060. We have a Facebook page. You can, which is just Veterans Promise. Our website is www.veteranspromisenepa.org. You can email us at veteranspromise22@gmail.com. And again, if you're struggling out there, there's help. Don't be afraid to go. People don't realize you can go to the VA without an appointment. You can go to that ER and you can tell them you're having
Excellent point. Yeah.
have a situation. Or if you don't want to go into the ER, you can go upstairs, especially in a Wilkes-Barre VA. You can go upstairs in that clinic and tell them you need to see somebody. You have to be your own advocate. Okay, don't let those folks tell you they can't. They absolutely can. That's what they're there for.
Even our vet centers.
And the
You
vet
can
center,
reach out to the vet centers.
right? You could walk into the vet center. I need to speak to somebody. I could tell you that those folks will move the mountain that needs to be moved to get you taken care of. And
it's important to say that the vet centers, that information is confidential.
Right.
It's not cross-referenced with the Veterans Affairs or the VA.
And it still counts.
Excellent point. Yeah.
It counts towards your claim. So if you're in a process that you're applying for, VA disability benefits and you're having some of those type of issues, your appointments at the vet center count just as much as the notes from the VA. So again, there's a lot of mutual benefits to these programs, and we are here to help explain that stuff and get you in front of the people that we can. It's not always. That's how you said it, right? The pie is big, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be this Veterans Promise, this right here, that solves the problem. I don't care who does it, as long as the problem gets solved. Yes. So
that's an important thing.
So again, there's many great, wonderful organizations out there. We got Patriots Cove out near us. We got Valhalla, Equines for Freedom. I'm sure I'm missing a ton more. We're all in this together. The whole thing should be reducing this number and improving the quality of life for the veteran and their families. If we can accomplish those things, our vets are going to live longer. Our community is going to be better. Our legions and VFWs and other organizations are going to thrive. And our greatest resource in our country, which I feel is our veterans. No one sacrificed more for this country. We got blood, sweat, and tears in this game to have this beautiful flag that's behind me here on that wall there's a sacrifice for that thing, and we have a duty. We did our duty when we wore the uniform, but it doesn't stop when we take it off. That oath never expires to our country. We have an
Right.
oath to our
Right.
brothers and sisters, and we take that thing serious. Here. We're not going to stop. So this isn't just a organization thing. This is a lifelong thing as a veteran, as far as I'm concerned.
Sal, one of the things that Veterans Promise we live by, and that's a simple motto: we're going to do whatever it takes. So when somebody calls us, somebody comes in, whatever their situation is, we're going to do whatever it takes to get them going forward.
Yep.
That quite frankly, that has been my life's motto. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Yeah.
Whatever it takes. It don't got to be pretty.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Gentlemen, this has been a fantastic show. Quality of information and the hearts that we've put into it are like beyond compare. And
Thank
I'm
you
going
for
to take
having us on.
I'm going to take it by faith that we've reached at least one person. Yeah.
I hope so. And whether that person wore the uniform or it's a family member of a veteran, just remember, I mean, if you're struggling, there's help out there. There's people that really love this country and are patriotic and will do whatever they can. They'll do whatever it takes to help you and their loved one.
If I discovered something the other day, somebody brought to my attention, and they said if there's no other number available, if there's nothing printed to reach me, Sal Santori, by, Google my name. Just Google Sal Santori, and there's a ton of information that comes up that you're able to contact me, which opens the door to contact the world. Our huge organization, our family. So if you're in a situation and the only thing you're able to do is Google my name, Google it, please, and we'll get everything going. Dave, Ray, thank you a million, brothers, for your service, for what you've been doing. And we'll definitely do some follow up because, like I said, it's only an hour.
We greatly appreciate you and what you've done, and I hope that we'll be able to do more of this stuff. I think being able to reach people outside of Northeast Pennsylvania for us is huge, and it's important for you guys down in Harrisburg that you understand that there's other groups that are fighting the fight and doing what we got to do. And again, we go back to the pie. The pie is big.
That's huge.
Big pie.
Plenty
to go.
I think on an end note, I think we're going to be sharing the stage at some point pretty soon coming up here, up in your local area. So we'll definitely move forward with those plans and keep folks advised so we can meet and greet and shake hands in person. And
Roger that.
Yeah, great. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
We'll get together and figure out all that stuff and be announcing some things. And again, this is a wonderful little partnership we started. And anytime you want us, we'll be happy to help out.
Great. Thank you for being on the show, and thank you to all of our listeners and viewers for tuning in to yet another, and I absolutely mean this, cannot miss show, Saturday Morning Live with Sal Santori. Thank you, and until next week, as always, remember, please find someone to help.
Thank you, Sal.
You bet. Thank you.